Good afternoon, Atlantic Seaboard. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ethan Dalva. I'm in 11th grade in a public school in Greater Washington, and I'd like to share a few words of Torah from this week's Parshat, Pekudei. We learned several lessons from Pekudei, but I'd like to touch upon an important one that I think everyone can gain from. But before I share some Torah, I'd like to tell a story where we learned the same lesson. On January 28, 1986, NASA launched a Space Shuttle Challenger on its 10th mission to orbit Earth. On board was a school teacher who was said to be the first civilian ever to be in space. 73 seconds into the flight, the shuttle broke up and exploded, leading to the instant death of all 7 people on board. A seemingly harmless and perfectly prepared mission was over after a minute and 3 seconds. It was determined later that the cause of the horrific explosion was 2 rubber O-rings, which purposes were to separate the shuttle from the rocket booster. These very small rubber pieces would cause the entire shuttle to explode because they were not properly set to accommodate the cold temperature of the morning, and could not separate the shuttle from its launcher. Had the small job of properly preparing the O-rings being carried out, the mission would have run smoothly, and no lives would have been lost that day. The lesson I want to talk about today is that every single person plays a role in the mission of the world. Parshat Pekudei talks of gold, silver, and copper being used for their own individual purposes in the construction of the Mishkan. In fact, each metal actually depended on the other metals in order for their own job to be carried out. For example, the gold was used to construct the ark that contained the Torah, but the ark needed to have a courtyard around it in order to protect itself, which needed the silver and copper in order for it to be made. Although we might think that gold is much more valuable than silver and copper and could perform its function on its own, we would be wrong in that assumption. Many of us think we are too small and insignificant to make a change in the world, but the opposite is true. In the same way as the creation of the Mishkan, people almost always depend on others helping before they are able to do their part themselves. If we all do the jobs that we were brought on this earth to do, we can actually change the world for the better. Just like at first glance, someone looking at a space shuttle would think the tiny rubber O-rings are extremely insignificant in the performance of the shuttle, many of us believe that we are insignificant in our lives and in the world. But as we've learned from the shuttle incident and in the creation of the Mishkan, we are all extremely important and we have the ability to make a lasting impact on the world. I want to wish everyone a meaningful and wonderful Shabbat. Thank you for taking the time to watch this, and Shabbat Shalom.